Hello everyone. Uh, it's been a while since I did a last video, so this should be a quick one. I'm not gonna pretty much go on a long tangent, rant, unfocused, but I'll try to make this clear. I've been actually wanting to put out a commentary on this, but I thought a video would be much better. So let's start. Uh, as you are aware, or as everyone has been aware, the latest development with Uganda and the Museveni versus quote unquote Bobby Wine is it was not unpredictable that Museveni was gonna actually win the election. So yeah, he won the election, and it looks like Bobby Wine still being harassed by Museveni and his regime. In addition to that, we've seen the establishment, Washington and State Department and embassy put out these warm view about the election. So it looks like Museveni has a little bit of traction, momentum in his lifeline, being a very compliant African leader. He's really a model on how to be a compliant African leader for Washington, and he's been, has been very compliant as far as implementation, becoming a regional police of the Horn of Africa. He has troops in Somalia and troops everywhere else. So decades of being a Washington client state, and he's been an effective leader. He knows how to study the right wing elements. You know how to study different foreign policy tanks in Washington. I'm not trying to hype up Museveni, but he understands the power play, and he knows how to survive. So we'll see with the Biden administration how he will squeeze through, but it looks like he was still Washington will still support him regardless of Bobby Wine. So that's still ongoing. So I want to quickly talk about examining Uganda and the black left solidarity. I think it's important, right? It was a beautiful thing. The last few months, we saw the black left media outlets, small or big, organizers, scholars, show support for Uganda and centering the issue with Bobby Wine. I think it's beautiful when black left media outlets, organizers center African struggles and put out campaigns. You saw No Name change her profile to Red, the Red Pearl profile. In addition to that, you saw the rapper Boss. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name. I don't know. I think it's Boss. He's Sudanese rapper from the Dreamville Records, J. Cole's record. He was pretty much visible in pushing out the issue in Uganda, and other scholars and black leftists have been really, doing a wonderful job. That is a positive. In addition to that, we've seen how the Ugandan organizers, whether they're inside or outside, have reached out to the black left media outlets, and that's a beautiful thing. I have not seen them over center the white liberals or try to reach out to other media outlets, or maybe they did and they failed, but the most receptive have been the black left section of the media outlets and various organizers and personalities. So shout out to Ugandan organizers, inside and outside, and scholars and so forth. So there's a second point. Now I'm going to highlight the problems I saw, and also what is the solution as far what can the black left do moving forward, and using Uganda as a case, study case on how to improve better in the future. So, I've had discussion with Ugandan organizers, scholars privately about my concern about Bobby Wine. For years, Bobby Wine is somebody that who maybe you're aware or you're not aware, but every year he's been arrested, or there's been a media drama over him for the last few years. So I never tried to center him because I saw some red flags about his connection to certain entities in Washington. There was a lot of red flags with Bobby Wine, so I kind of distanced myself. That is my choice because I saw a lot of red flags about who Bobby Wine is and the connection. So this view, it is not meant to discredit the Ugandan people agency internally. This is an internal Ugandan issue. I'm not trying to dictate they should not support Bobby Wine or support Museveni or anything like that. I'm not trying to discredit Bobby Wine if people feel he is legitimate, but I'm just putting out a concern about how he's connected to certain entities in Washington. and it's a problem. So a few years ago, Bobby Wine, his name started popping up, and there was an individual that was tied to him by the name of Jeffrey Smith. Let me try to bring attention to who he is. I think a lot of people are aware, but to just make it clear, sorry. There we go. So Jeffrey Smith is the founder of Vanguard Africa. It's a think tank in Washington, D.C. It's very connected and has a lot of people, very, connected people inside his board. And we've seen him very visible as far as Togo, supporting these elements who are pro-State Departments, activists that are very, connected to NEDs, a lot of red flags. And he's been visible in other African states where there are efforts to destabilize the state and put in a more compliant African leader or alternative leader. So we saw him active in Togo. He's really, really visible in there. But we started to see him to be more representative of Bobby Wine. And as you can see, he was centering Bobby Wine. This is not the first time. He's done this a couple of times. Whenever he's in D.C., I believe he was in D.C. I could be wrong, but he always accompanied him. So this individual, Jeffrey Smith, you got to ask yourself, why is he backing Bobby Wine? Why is this guy in D.C. backing an African opposition leader, right? I think there's a lot of question there. That's a legitimate question, and that's what my red flags is about. Ever since I saw Jeffrey Smith and how he's connected, in addition to that, there was other African pro-State Department activists supporting Bobby Wine, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International. All these things, all the red flags were saying like this is a problem with Bobby Wine. I don't think this is a good idea to over-center him. So that was my concern. I saw this with Jeffrey Smith. In addition to that, if you go to his website, Vanguard Africa, you're able to see what type of people are on his, advisory council. You got people who are, connected to multinational corporations, just their background, and it's quite interesting. And there's elements who are involved in Zimbabwe regime change. If you just do a quick search on what is Vanguard Africa and make that connection to Bobby Wine, it's a lot of red flags, and that's what I was trying to be concerned about. I was not trying to bring people spirit down. It's really beautiful when the black diaspora, the black left, show support for African struggles, but this time there hasn't been enough of gatekeeping, not enough filtering, and understanding, hey, you know what, we can't over-center this Bobby Wine guy without actually examining his politics, his association, who he is backed by. That is my only concern, my critical concern. In addition to that, I think it should be the Uganda case and what has happened with Bobby Wine is a template. Whenever you find yourself, you as a black leftist, I'm a black leftist, we're all black leftists, but whenever we see an African issue, first examine what is the issue internally, what is the U.S. foreign policy, examine the U.S. foreign policy, how it has been impacted. In addition to that, whenever you see a very visible individual being over-centered by the media, there's a lot of red flags there. You want to be careful and examine it. Whenever you see Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, the usual suspect, over-center an individual and defend them and try to fight for him or her, that's red flags. So I think black leftists, usually we are aware of the situation as far as Coney 2012, the problem with that. We saw the issue of bring back our girls in Nigeria, and there was a lot of red flags there, and a lot of people recognize it. This is a problem. But for some reason, there was a lot of not much of gatekeeping in regards to how this campaign was rolled out for Uganda. So that was the only concern, is seeing the campaign and seeing the human rights activists who are connected to Washington support Bobby Wine, right? And I said, this is red flags. And that was a lot of red flags. So I hesitated from over-centering Bobby Wine without bringing people's spirit down, and the Ugandan organizers who are sincere about their cause. And I'm not trying to disregard their internal struggle of the Ugandan people against the Washington-backed regime and Museveni. That is not the issue. I'm just concerned about how we black leftists should be centering the masses, centering the issue of the U.S. foreign policy and how this Museveni is connected to that. Beyond that, let's be careful of not centering entities that are still connected to Washington. So we have to understand that Kampala is pretty much like the Beirut of Africa. There's a lot of intelligence activities, U.S. aid, U.S. embassy. All these actors are there. So this idea that, there's a free candidate that is of the people of Thomas Sankara, like the comparison to Thomas Sankara is inappropriate. Bobby Wine is not Thomas Sankara, and it's a problem when we do that. So we need to get away from that. The best approach for the black left moving forward, if there's an African issue, is not to quickly center campaigns that are pretty much pushed out by entities or individuals connected to various imperialist entities and organizations. So do your research. Be careful on how you roll out and center individuals like Bobby Wine. There might be a different Bobby Wine in other Africa. So be careful. So that's the only thing I just want to put out. It is not meant to discredit the Ugandan issue, but more so to just have a critical conversation about it. And yeah. I think it's amazing what the black left can do. We saw how impactful it was when it came to South Africa, and that was a key moment for South Africa in the 80s and the late 90s. And I think it should be replicated, and we should support the black left being more focused in its support of Africa. And it's amazing. Shout out to Black Alliance for Peace, Hood Communist, No Name, and all these entities and personalities and scholars who have been centering Uganda. But like I mentioned, we just got to be careful. Do not over-center Bobby Wine. Check if they're connected to Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, NED. And there's a lot of red flags. That's it. If you find yourself on the same side as these entities who are connected to Washington, that is not the African struggle you want to support. That is not the personality you want to support. So be careful. There are organizers inside Africa, inside Uganda, who don't really get that same spotlight as Bobby Wine for a reason. And there's other movements inside Africa that don't get the spotlight for a reason, because they're not the prototypical democracy, human rights cover that it's meant to. It's a cover for multinational corporations to loot the state, to put in a regime that is more compliant than the other previous regime, to put in a regime that is more, that can manage capital and its looting of resources inside Africa in each state. So let's be cautious, and that's it. I think we should encourage, the black left. The black left is amazing, the work that they do. And, I'm really happy to be part of that space too as a black left. But just be cautious how you